Hi, welcome to this video. You may have watched my other two videos that were film box Blu Ray reviews. In this one, I want to look at another set, Blu Ray set. This one is, again, like the Fu Manchu ones, it's now deleted. And this is about the Phantasm films. And as you can see, it's a very large box. It has all the 5 Phantasm films, and it's this is a kind of, the original Phantasm film was quite a big hit in British cinemas and American cinemas in the 1970s. It was a very low budget film. It was made over a period of significant period of time. With very little money, but the fact that it's a completely independent made film with actors who maybe weren't hugely experienced, it has a kind of very individual look. It doesn't look like something that's, there's lots of, although you would classify it as a horror film, there's lots of elements about this film which are very unique to it and are very unlike Hollywood films. There's something very special and very different about it. I didn't see the Phantasm films when they first came out. I saw the first film at a science fiction convention, and I found it an incredible experience. And I've sort of held a torch for these films for a long time, and so I was really proud to have this box set. So I'm going to show you first of all what's in the box. First of all, you take out there's this sphere here, which is the sinister sphere that the main villainous character, played by Angus Scrimm, who is a funeral director, but a funeral director with evil intentions. And he has these spheres which go through the air very fast. So they've got these spikes in them. If the sphere lands on your head, it'll dig into it, and then something will drill into your head, and lots of gunk and blood and stuff will pour out. So this was one of the unique features of the film. So you've got your own deadly sphere in the box. And I'll just take out the movies and the books. So there's a very nice collector's book which has lots of information about the films, very informative. And then you have the films in individual discs. So we have the first film, Phantasm, second film, Phantasm 2, surprisingly, then Phantasm 3, Lord of the Dead, Phantasm 4, Oblivion, with the IV for 4 within the word Oblivion, and the last film, Phantasm Ravager. And they're all very unique films in their own way. There's also a bonus disc here with extras. All of the films in this set have extras. It took me a long time to get through all the extras. The first film itself, which introduces the main character, the tall man, played by Angus Scrimm here. There's a very nice introduction to the first film by Angus. Sadly, he's no longer with us, but when he did this for an earlier release of the film, there's some talk of him talking about when he was first recruited to do the character. He said that he was told that he was going to be playing an alien, and he assumed that meant somebody from another country. And sinisterly, at the end of his introduction, he says, "Now remember, when you're watching the film, behind you, the tall man will be watching you." And that adds an extra, shiver to the film before you watch it. The film has many aspects to it apart from horror. In some ways, I think it's there's a real magic to it. It's not just a story about a menacing undertaker from another world who reanimates people's corpses, shrinks them, and sends them off to another dimension, his dimension, where there'll be slaves. It's also a very, I think it's a very human film. It's about the relationship between a teenage boy and his older brother. And there's a lot of aspects about coming of age, and the kind of promise that growing up has, and the kind of fears that it has associated with it, and fears of death, and fears of adulthood, and what that involves. And all these themes are very subtly portrayed in the film, and that's what makes it much more than a horror film and makes it much more memorable. And this restoration is done from a 4K scan of the original negative, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's an absolutely breathtaking rendition of the film. It's absolutely first rate. It says that it's completely remastered. It's just gorgeous, really. So that's the first film, which is exciting, but also a sort of as is the coming of age film. The second film is more spectacular visually because it had a bigger budget. I think in terms of sadly the boy character wasn't in this film. Somebody else took his role. That was at the insistence of the studio. Certainly not as by the insistence of Don Coscarelli, director. He wanted all his original cast in. He managed to keep Reggie Bannister in, who's the friend of the two brothers, and he is a sort of ice cream salesman, and he's a fantastic character, and he becomes kind of more the major character as the films go on. So the second film, I think, is very, very enjoyable, and I don't like it quite as much as the first film, but it's kind of up there. Phantasm 3 has a lower budget. It's not quite as good a film again, but it certainly stands up. It's an excellent film in its own way. Phantasms 4 and 5, they are kind of very low budget films, kind of straight to video really releases, but they do carry on the story and the characters. They add new things to the kind of mythos. Phantasm 4 manages to have new footage in it from the that was filmed at the time of the original Phantasm film but wasn't used. So these are kind of flashback scenes, and they flesh out the running time of the film, but they were actually filmed at a much earlier period. The original version of Phantasm was about twice as long as the released version, so there was a lot of extra footage. Some of that footage occurs as extra features in the original Phantasm film. Just a little bit about Don Coscarelli, the director. He's a kind of independent filmmaker. The Phantasm films are probably his most famous films, but he has done a number of other films, including Bubba Hotep and The Beastmaster, which I'm going to talk about in a later video. I'll talk about The Beastmaster. This, as I say, is an absolutely excellent package. You get your Deadly Sphere. The films themselves are enjoyable. There's a fascinating mythos about it, and if you can grab a hold of this box set, which came out from Arrow, then I would definitely recommend it. There's a huge number of extras. There's audio commentaries with Reggie Bannister, Don Coscarelli, and Angus Scrimm. There's things like footage from fan conventions and things like that. There's very long featurettes about the making of the films, as well as the audio commentaries. And really, altogether, it's a fantastic package. It's a shame that it's out of print now, but if you can get a copy, I would recommend it. And I would really, if you're interested in, mildly interested in horror films, not necessarily an aficionado, but if you like films that are a bit horror related and a bit quirky, then I think you should try and see certainly the first Phantasm film, if you possibly can, because it's an excellent film. Okay, thanks.